What do you mean it's not Ernest? You told me it's Ernest. You answer to the name Ernest. I introduce you to everyone as Ernest. Your face looks like your name should be Ernest. You are the most earnest looking person I've ever seen in my life. And this is so absurd when you say that your name is not Ernest. Like it's on your cards. Yep. Today I'm gonna talk about The Importance of Being Earnest, a dramedy by Oscar Wilde. And since it's quite British, well, it's literally very British, I'm gonna get some tea and get back to you guys. So, hello there, I'm back with my tea. Hmm. So, Importance of Being Earnest is, I would say, it's Oscar Wilde's take on Shakespeare's sentence, "What's in the name?" Because this entire story is about two women who want to marry two guys because their name is Ernest. So it's also a word play on the word earnest, which literally means to try to do something, very convincingly with very much devotion. And every woman wants a husband who is earnest in loving her, in caring for her. Anyways, I read this dramedy when I was like, I don't know, 13 years old, and I did understand the, like, the hypocrisy of the society even in that point. But the funny thing was that even I was excited to find out that why everyone wants to be earnest. And so the story actually is about a guy named Jack, who actually goes to the London to the city sometimes and calls himself Ernest Worthing, because when he is in the country where he takes care uh, of a ward which was under his guardianship, he wanted to look like some sort of a very responsible person. But when he used to go to London, he was quite of a playboy. And then there he met a guy who became his friend, and this particular dialogue, which I told you guys in the beginning, is between him, Ernest or Jack, and his friend Algie, because his name was very difficult, Algerton. I cannot pronounce it. So, anyways, the thing was that this guy Jack was in love with Algie's cousin sister, and she was a very self-centered girl, and she just wanted to be loved by a guy whose name is Ernest. And there's a very funny sort of a thing she said about other women. I pity a woman who is married to a man named John. She would never get to enjoy the solitude of the, being called wife of a guy named something else, because it's such a common name. She also said something about the name Ernest, that she's always been in love with this word because it entails someone who is very confident. So one story leads to another, and this particular story kind of reminds me of actually a lot of Akshay Kumar's comedies, like Houseful 1. Houseful 2 is actually, I guess, had this exact story of someone named Raju or whatever, and then like a I don't know, comedy of error was going on. So anyways, long story short, what happened is that when his friend Elgie finds out that this guy's name is not Ernest, he said, "Okay, I'm not gonna let you marry my cousin." And he was like, "You cannot like tell me that. I'll go and talk to her mother." And when this lady's mother finds out that this guy Ernest was actually adopted, she says, "Okay, this doesn't solve anything, and I cannot let my daughter marry someone who has been adopted." So it's like a lot of different things going on, but it's an interesting story. But in the end, what happens that this guy Algie goes to country to meet Ernest or Jack, where he actually meets his ward or the guardian girl whose name was Cicely. and he falls in love with her, and he tells her that his name was Ernest. And then she was like, okay, I want to marry this guy because his name is Ernest. And then there was another I don't know, problem happened, and somehow this girl who was in love with Jack the Ernest, whose name was Gwendolyn, she thought this girl Cicely is in love with her Ernest. So she goes there and tries to, like, argue with her. And what they find out, that both of them were not Ernest. And then when they were talking in the countryside house of this guy Jack, his maid comes and appears. And when his maid comes, this mother of Gwendolyn sees her, and she says like, you used to work at our home, and like almost 20 years ago, and there used to be a little boy you took out to, like, for a walk, and you never returned him, and we thought you kidnapped him. And she said that I was so much embarrassed that I put the boy in the bag and my manuscript in the stroller, that I never came back and returned the boy. I mean, this is so stupid. And then what happened then, this lady who was Gwendolyn's mom and said that she can't marry this guy Jack slash Ernest, tells her that, okay, if this is the boy you took, then he is actually Algie's older brother, whose name was supposed to be Ernest. So then this guy Jack slash Ernest says to his would be wife Gwendolyn, because it's a terrible thing for a man to be telling the truth entire his life and not knowing that. So, I mean, there's a lot of sarcastic and satirical things in this book and in this drama. And sorry, I forgot to drink the tea. It's quite interesting, and I thought, like, I've been discussing a lot of intense and sad stories lately. So I wanted to talk about a fun and interesting story. And in the end, this guy Ernest says to his aunt, who actually turns out to be his aunt now, that I never knew the importance of being earnest.